Hey, what's up, my beautiful people? How you boys doing? It's your boy Devo, so motivational. We're back with another trade recap. So usually I do these live to at the end of the day to go over it, but I had my trade right now. I have some time, and I just want to go over the trade. Very frustrated because I mean I followed my strategy. It just didn't turn out. It didn't go well, but we're gonna go over it because I have a lot to say as the market's moving right now, as you can see. And so to start the day, what did we do? We just basically continued off from yesterday. We had this little drop, but not too big, right? I had this line right here. Why? Because this is where we had our downtrend, and this is where we had our last lower high. So right here we had a last lower high, and so as we were trending up for the morning, as you can see, we started this uptrend. As we were trending up this morning, I had this marked out. I was like, okay, if it breaks this last higher low, last lower high, excuse me. If we break this last lower high, obviously means we're bullish. We broke up, came back, retraced into this fair value gap, broke up again, breaking structure again. So just following the uptrend, this would have been a good entry, but I didn't take it because I'm also knowing we have a gap right here. We have this gap right here, area of supply. We're under huge sell-off, huge selling pressure. We have bad news coming into the market, saying hiking retaliatory tariffs. Beijing said it's hiking retaliatory duties on U.S. Exit this. Hiking retaliatory duties on U.S. imports to 84% from 34% hours after President Donald Trump's sweeping global tariffs went into effect, including a total of 104% on goods from China, the world's second largest economy. And also we have Jamie Dimon saying that we're most likely entering a recession. So all this bad news. So I don't really even trust the uptrend in the market currently. But what I'm really learning is you don't really. I had, like I said, I had this area right here, right, where I could see price breaking up and touching, and then ended up breaking down. I could have seen that happening, but that's where you just follow price, even though it's bad economic news. Under heavy sellers, but obviously what did we do? We reversed trend because we ended up breaking our last lower high, and so I should have got in at this trade. Hindsight is 2020, but I still feel like where I got in was a safe entry. So let me show you where I got in at. So we had this we created a after we broke this, what did we create? An actual higher high, and then higher lows, another higher high, another higher low. We ranged right here, so this basically this area of which was resistance, right? Because this was our last higher low. Our last lower high. I don't know why I keep getting mixed up. This was our last lower high. And so as we can see, when we broke through it, we used this as an area of support, right? And so I marked that before. Whenever I seen price start to trend, I had marked that because I'm like, all right, if price breaks this, it's obviously an uptrend. But I still didn't trust it, like I said. And so we had this area of support holding up before. What did we do? Broke through the range, and it literally gave about the same exact setup as yesterday, okay? And it literally gave about like the same exact setup as yesterday. Like, let's look at yesterday's setup real quick to start the day. What did we do? Yesterday's setup. What did we do? We ended up coming down before creating an uptrend because we had this mitigation formation, having a trend, breaking our last breaking our last higher low, giving a change of character, giving us a pullback, testing the bottom of this higher low, testing basically this change of character area right here because it gave a change of character. So basically testing this change of character. Let me mark it out for y'all. I'd put that green because that was an area of support to hold up at first because we gave the mitigation formation, creating the uptrend. broke through, then that ended up giving the change of character. We tested this area and dropped down, right? So that's basically literally what happened today, except it didn't keep breaking down. So instead of dropping down to start the day, we broke up to start the day, creating an uptrend. Ranged, broke it, right? And so what is this? And this is why I'm so freaking frustrated. I'm frustrated, but then at the same time, it's like you can't be frustrated if you follow your strategy. If you follow your strategy and everything's to the T, and you still get stopped out, you can't really be frustrated, right? I mean, frustrated, but can't really be too mad at it, right? And so, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I was trying to mark up this area. Sorry, kind of forgot where I was at for a second. Jesus Christ. Okay, yeah, I forgot how to draw a line for a second. Okay, so what did we have? We had this area. What did we do? We broke it, so giving a change of character. Giving us our change of character, right? Because we broke our last higher low, right? So we gave that change of character with heavy volume. So this is where it's like you just follow the strategy to the T and it just doesn't go your way. And frustrated, but like I said again, you can't be too frustrated because look, I'm gonna come deeper into it so you can see. And as you can see, price wants to break down now. But price is gonna do whatever it wants to do, okay? And so what did we have? I'm gonna pull these volume bars up. What did we have? We had our change of character with heavy seller volume, right? So obviously we have bears in the market. So we broke through with these heavy sell-offs. What did we do? We had our pullback, not a retracement. This is an actual pullback. Why? Because it's 3 candles that close above each other. So we had 1 candle, 2 candle, 3 candles closing above each other. And actually, what happened? As these candles were pulling back, we see we had less volume. So that means the bulls didn't have more volume from the sellers. Okay, we broke through with heavy volume. Whenever the pullback started kicking into place, the buyer volume started dropping down, and that's what you want to see. You want to see the trend where you're going. If I'm following the downtrend, you want to see heavy buyers, and then whenever you get your pullback, you want to see low buyer volume, right, on your pullback, because that's just your pullback. That's not the actual move. So you want to see it actually struggle to pull back, right? And so that's what we did see, right? We had this heavy sell-off, this massive candle, which was about a whole dollar candle, about $1.50 candle, literally. And we had our volume. Then we had a struggle to come back. And you see this wick. We had a doji. We see the wick on top of this. And this is where I got in at. We see this engulfing start. So I got in at this engulfing, right? And so as it dropped all the way down, I was up some profit because I got in at the middle of this engulfing candle. And what did we see? We actually seen the seller volume still be higher than the buyer volume. So that's also a good sign. We had the engulfing on our pullback. It pulled back into this strength candle, which is big strength candle with this seller volume, also pulling back and testing this area of our change of character, making it would have been making it an area of resistance, right? Before giving our retracement, giving this engulfing candle. I got in at this engulfing candle, and then what happened? Price started coming up against me. I wasn't worried because my stop loss has to be at the top of my pullback, right? And so I had my stop loss at the top of this pullback. It actually broke down some more my way, which is actually a good sign. Why? Because as we can see with this buyer candle, see, look, this is where it's like frustrating, right? Because look at this buyer, look at this other big strength candle. This is another buyer strength candle, right? But you're still not worried about it. Why? Because look at this volume. There's no volume to that candle compared to these sellers, right? There's no buyer volume compared to these sellers, right? And so price broke down my way. I was up a little bit of profit, but my take profit was what? So I had a strike price of 492. So I was looking at this gap, right? Because we know this is a fair value gap. So we know this is where buyers are going to step in at. And so I had a strike price of 492. So I wanted to see price actually break down more and kind of try to hit 492, putting me into the money, and I would have cut it. I would have got out, right? Because that would have been my take profits, right? Because I know this could have gave me a pullback, and I would have just took my profits because I would have been up money, right? I would have gotten at this area, right? Yeah, I would have dropped down about $4, about $2 price action. So that's about 150 bucks. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't gonna be too greedy. I was just gonna take what I believe the market was gonna give me, right? So we broke down a little bit, and this is still like good signs, right? When we were breaking down, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, this is gonna be a winning trade. We had the seller volume pick back up again, and then we had these strength candles, barely had this wick at the bottom, so it's obviously these bears are strong, right? Before getting this big engulfing candle, and that is no good, right? That was no good. We had this big engulfing candle with high volume of buyers. This is high volume because we can see it outmatched, engulfed all these volume candles, and engulfing this candle. Still not worried because my stop loss is up here, and we still have these heavy seller strength candles, and obviously we had these heavy strength, heavy bear volume, right? So what did we do? Price just ended up doing whatever price wanted to do. Stopped me out because my stop loss was at the top of this pullback, ended up breaking above me, minus 125 bucks. Minus another 125 bucks. And that's why even on the trades where you feel confident in, because I was very confident in this trade, you know what I'm saying? I had patience all day. We had the uptrend, and I just knew it, like just under all this heavy seller momentum and all this heavy selling news, we ended up having this range, broke down, gave me my change of character, gave me my pullback, gave me these wicks, gave me the engulfing candle. That's everything you want to see in price action. That's literally everything you want to see in price action, right? You want to see your change of character. You want to see your pullbacks into a gap. You want to see an engulfing candle. You want to see the wicks on top of those pullbacks. That's like everything you could ever ask for, right? And get into a trade. But ultimately, price stopped me out, right? Because it came up, broke it through, and then I still stayed in right here at this candle. And don't worry, I followed my stop loss strategy, okay? But I still stayed in at this candle. It broke through because it gave me this wick, and I'm like, okay, maybe that's just a sweep. But when we started building again, our next 1 minute candle, I cut my loss. That's minus 125 bucks, okay? It's very frustrating, but like I said, we followed our strategy. And as we could see, price didn't really do anything, right? And so as we could see, oh man, I keep forgetting how to, I don't know, I'm having brain farts today. So as we can see, price is basically in this range. Mark this green. Just delete this. So as we can see, I'll keep this here because that was my change of character. All right, just so y'all can keep seeing it. And so I have this, remember I have this box marked because this is where take profits would have been. Why? Because it's a fair value gap on this uptrend. This is a fair value gap, so this is where we could have had a reaction. And ultimately we had that reaction early. Why did we have that reaction early? Well, we do have an area of support right here. We do have an area of support right here. As you can see, this is where buyers stepped in, and they are strong buyers. As you can see, these strength candles, these buyer volume candles are very big. So we did have buyers, as you can see. Yeah, you can see this buyer volume is big. You did have buyers right there, but ultimately, all this seller volume, all the selling news, all the bad news, gave my change of character, gave my pullback, was struggling, got my engulfing. I'm still expecting price to break through here and ultimately try to test this gap before giving another pullback. Price didn't do that. It retraced early, and price didn't do that. It actually pulled back early before stopping me out right here, right? Can't be mad at it. Stuck to my strategy, had my stop loss in place, and it just didn't go my way, right? So we live to fight another day. That's why you don't over leverage, because I was very confident in the trade. You know what I'm saying? And so I could have bought 3 contracts for it. Well, actually I couldn't have, because right now the contract price, because of the volatility, so the more volatility, the more your broker is going to charge you for these contracts. So these contracts are very expensive. So my contract was about, I think, 500 bucks literally. And so I sold it at 375. Or I lost 124 bucks, but just 125, right? And see, as you can see, right, price is just, you see this, just big old candle. Really, price is just it's kind of doing whatever, right? And so yeah, I bought the contract for about like $500. Like literally, that is so expensive, and that's literally how much the contracts really are right now, because they're very expensive. Because why? The market is very volatile right now, so there's a lot of money to be made, basically what that means. And so they're going to charge a little more for these contracts, right? And so, but I could have went in with two contracts, right? But that's where, like I said, I'm following my disciplines. If y'all watch my lives, if y'all don't watch my daily lives, please watch them. This is actually going to be a daily recap video, because I actually want to get out more videos for you guys, and I actually had the time, and I had a lot on my mind about this trade and how I follow strategy to a T. And that's all you can ask for, right? Follow your strategy, stick to your disciplines. Your disciplines are your stop losses, being patient, waiting for your actual pullbacks, right? And so you just wait for all those things, and if price doesn't go your way, price doesn't go your way, right? But ultimately, you stick to your strategy, because you know your strategy is going to give you more winners than losers, okay? So I'm frustrated, but just like I'm telling you guys, I'm also telling myself I can't beat myself up over it, because I follow strategy, follow discipline, and I could have been down even more, right? If I didn't follow my stop loss strategy, I could have been down. Shoot, right? Look at this, boom, boom. You know what I'm saying? I could have been up. Man, I could have been down even more, right? And so can't be mad at it. Stuck to strategy, and that's all you can ask for, right? Because losses are going to come with the game. It's a probabilities game, right? The market is the market. You're not going to win 100% of the time. The best traders in the world don't win 100% of the time, right? And so I know you might see YouTubers, and even me, like I'm gonna watch trading videos today. Obviously I'm gonna be studying, but I'm gonna be watching other people on their trading recaps and stuff like that. And so I'm gonna see people they made money today, and people are gonna be making thousands and thousands of dollars. People are gonna be making hundreds of dollars. People are gonna be having winning trades, and I'll have a losing trade, right? But I can't beat myself up over it, because I stuck to my strategy. And also, this I only had one trade for the day. I only traded once, right? And so a lot of traders, they will trade multiple trades in the day, right? They will have a winning day, but they might have a $6,000 loss, a $12,000 loss, but then they traded another one and they made up on that loss. You see what I'm saying? And so ultimately, me, I usually only try to take one trade a day, because I mean I don't have too much capital in my account, and if I have a bad trade, it kind of sets me back. You know what I'm saying? It sets me back a little bit mentally whenever I have a losing trade. This one, not really setting me back, but it's still like, okay, I have a loss. I'm not gonna try to lose more money. You see what I'm saying? And so I just take my loss for the day. The market's gonna be open tomorrow. I'm gonna be back tomorrow, and also we have more bad news going into tomorrow. I'll pull that up after I'm done talking about the bad news that we have tomorrow, and we're gonna be back here tomorrow. So don't beat yourself up over it. You have a loss, but ultimately I know I'm gonna make it back up, right? And so I'm still down, and that's what's messing with me, because I was building my account back up, right? Because I had that $400 loss, which you kind of just gotta throw away in the garbage, right? Throw away in the garbage and just stick to your disciplines, right? Just throw that one away. But I had another, I think about $100 and something loss last week, right? But then on the Friday I had the $70 win, and then on Monday I had my $65 win, and so today I lost $124, right? So I'm still up money from those 2 days, and then today, right? I'm still up about a couple dollars, right? But ultimately I know I'm still down, and so that's what's kind of weighing on me, weighing on my sidekick right now. Is like, I know I'm still behind the 8 ball, but that's where I'm not gonna go into revenge trading, right? And so okay, I need my money back. I'm gonna get into a trade, but ultimately I know that's not the best thing, right? And so that's what you want to do. Stick to your disciplines. Remember, guys, stick to disciplines. Stick to your strategy. Losses are gonna come with the game, but ultimately, what do you know? You know your strategy is gonna give you more wins than losses, right? And you stick to your disciplines with your stop loss, because you don't want to lose too much, because if you're losing more than you're making, then ultimately that is still setting you back, right? Even if you're winning 80% of the time, if your losers are bigger than your winners, that's a no. And right now, that's what's happening, right? Because that $400, didn't follow disciplines and all that, and that was last week, and I was over leveraged. I had 3 contracts in, so ultimately it was about $100 loss if it was just one contract. But ultimately, so I want you to stay with me. It's a $400 loss, right? Last week we're talking about last week, the beginning of the week on Monday, we had the $400 loss, but it was with 3 contracts. So really, it's about $100 loss, right? $100, $133 loss, right? But I didn't stick to my strategy. I didn't. Well, yeah, I didn't stick to my strategy. I kept widening my stop loss, right? And so that's why that loss was so big, right? So that's why I gotta throw that away, not act like it didn't happen, but understand that I didn't follow strategy. I didn't follow my disciplines, and so you just gotta throw that one away because that you messed up on that, right? And your strategy didn't cause you to lose that big. My strategy and my stop losses didn't cause me to lose that big. It was ultimately just me being stubborn and not wanting to lose, right? See, on this one, I lost 125 bucks, but I followed my discipline, right? If it would have broke down to my area, I would have been up about 200, probably 300 bucks, right? Because that would have been about, got in right here. It probably would have came down to my 492, 491. I probably would have been up about 200, 300 bucks, right? And that's where, look, that's where I want to pull this up for you guys. So this is your projection, your risk to reward area. So look, I would have had it at my 492, which is the middle of this fair value gap. I would have expected price to pull about into the middle of this fair value gap area before giving a reaction. So let me put my entry. This middle part is where your entry is at, and then this red part is where your stop loss is at. So as you can see right here, my stop loss is pretty tight, right? So if I had a 750 in, my stop loss would have been about $84, but my win would have been about 1,700, right? So that's about a 1 to 2.5, right? A 1 to 2.5 ratio, right? And so that's good. That's good. So every $100 I'm putting in, I'm expecting to make what I'm expected to make about $300, okay? And so that's a good risk to reward ratio right there. And so that's all you can expect, right? So I lost 125 bucks, but I know I could have been up about 300 bucks, right? Stuck to strategy. So, and as you see, the market is just it's gonna do what it wants to do, right? Some days it's gonna give the change of character, pull back, and it's gonna trend. Some days it's gonna, and when you follow your, and most times it's gonna do that. If it gives you your change of character, most of the time it's changing trend, right? Because a change of character is taking out your last higher low or taking out your last lower high, right? Reversing the trend. So it was supposed to reverse trend, give me my pullback. That's what it was supposed to do. It gave me the change of character, meaning a reversal of trend. It gave me the pullback, gave me the engulfing, gave me the wicks on top of this pullback. The volume was there. The seller volume was there. The buyer volume was not there. Seller volume picked back up on my engulfing. So that's everything you asked for, right? And so you can't be mad at that, right? We're gonna show up tomorrow and we're gonna get back to it, right? And so now let's see what we got going into tomorrow. The news that we got going into tomorrow, which could potentially give us lower lows in the market, which I thought we were gonna get lower lows today, but you know the market's gonna do what it wants to do, right? Good. So off of this heavy sell-off yesterday, it probably really priced in the bad news for today. Look at this heavy sell-off. You know, it dropped about $30. So that was, I think, pretty much that was our pricing in. So right now it's just ranging, right? And it might give a lower low later on into the day, right? It might do that, and honestly, I'll be pretty upset, pretty frustrated. But I mean, hey, you trade during your times, right? Usually I like to trade about 9 to about 10:30, and that's exactly what I did. Anything after that, it's a little risky, right? Majority of the times you won't see, you won't see the big moves between like 12 and whenever market closes, right? Most of the time you won't really see that, okay? And so just stick to your strategy, stick to your disciplines. Remember that, guys. Losses come with the territory, but your strategy and your disciplines will give you more wins than losses, okay, guys? And so I know a lot of traders you might see just making money and making money, but ultimately they have losses too, okay? They don't always show the losses, and even the ones who do, they're fully authentic, right? And that's what I want to be for you guys. I want to show you the ups, the downs, the bads, the uglies, and the goods, right? And so this is where it's like you're kind of proud of your loss, right? Some losses you really just got to be proud of, right? Because stuck to your strategy. I know I keep saying that, but just reiterating to myself because I was kind of just very upset about it. You know what I'm saying? Because I told you guys yesterday I was gonna come in here with the home run. I didn't come into the market like, okay, I just need a home run because I told them guys, but I did expect a good move off of this pullback, right? Didn't get it, but that's okay, right? Because we're gonna show it tomorrow, and ultimately I will be coming out with a recap tomorrow, telling you guys how I made some money. Okay, so I will make this back up on the week. On the week, now I'm down $60, right? I was up $60, and now I'm down $60, right? And so we're gonna get back to it tomorrow. We're gonna make some money, and so I'm gonna bring you to what news we have. I'm gonna bring you to what news we have going into later into the day, which can potentially move the market some more because we have some news coming out at 12 p.m. Western time. If you're in the West, if you're in the East, like New York times, it'll come out at 1. And then I will show you the news that we have tomorrow, which can potentially move the markets, and that pretty much be the recap for the day. And I might end up going live later, just because I love going live and just being live. And then I might just because ultimately at the end of the markets, right? At the end of the market, we'll have either a seller move or a buyer, either a seller move or a buyer move or a range in market or whatever. So at the end of the day, I think I'm still gonna have a live to go over all of that. And then look at what we're going into tomorrow, and then if we have any other news, you know what I'm saying. So most likely I'll be on here later, so don't worry about that if y'all like to see me live streams. But ultimately, I just want to get a video out for you guys, and so let's look at what news we have going into later into the day actually. And so as we see right here, we have FOMC minutes. So basically that's the Fed minutes. He's not actually talking, but I think he's gonna put out some type of statement or something like that, right? Some type of statement, so that can move the market. If he says, I'm projecting rate cuts, we will see a big spike in the market. Or if he's saying, we got to hold off on these rate cuts, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Whatever he says, most likely will move the market. If he's hawkish, we're gonna go up. If he's dovish, then we'll end up the market will end up tanking some more, right? Because the market is honestly right now, the market is looking for any good news to give a pump. The market is so far down, it is literally looking for any good news to give a pump, and any bad news added on top of what is already happening, it's just gonna keep dumping. But I can see a lower low coming, because I will get into the more bad news that we have. But I can see lower lows coming into the market. I definitely can see that. But ultimately, just today was not the day, right? I had my pullback. I keep going over it, but I had my pullback, had my volume. Just didn't work out in favor. And as you can see, live market, you see these as you can see live as I'm making this video, you're seeing how price is just acting up right now. Had this huge buyer volume, right? And then you had not even really seller volume, right? Because look at this buyer volume. Look at these spikes in the buyer volume. And look at the seller. The sellers, I guess, are falling off, and so, but price still dropped down. The bulls picked back up, and now you see sellers. Not even much seller volume, but you can see prices dumping, and then we'll probably get another huge spike in buyer volume, spiking price up. We might not, and it might create a lower low, and ultimately coming back into the gap where I wanted it. It might do that. It might not. We don't know. We just follow strategy. We don't know what price action is going to do. We just follow strategy, follow disciplines. Ultimately let price do what it's going to do. Okay, so what do we have going into tomorrow? Well, so we have well, I already read this to y'all, but I'm gonna read it again because that's also some tomorrow's news. So we had this news that Trump put the 104% tariffs going into today. So it started last night at 12 o'clock, and then China said that they're going to add 84% tariffs back on us, and that comes into play tomorrow, okay? And then this is also not good news because it says European Union, so the Europeans Officials also approved imposing a fresh set of retaliatory duties on U.S. imports into the region. The duties, which could come into effect April 15th, would range from 10 to 25% on more than $24 billion worth of U.S. goods. So up to April 15th, we could have the sell off. If a deal doesn't get worked out, you know what I'm saying? If a deal doesn't get worked out, we could have a huge, massive spike down. Since we already have this news, we might have a sell the news, and then April 15th, we might not actually have a huge reaction. But, or it could be, we might not have much of a reaction right now. We might just have a reaction to what is going on with China and everything. And then April 15th, we could have another huge seller moment because of the Europeans. But we never know, right? We're just going to follow price, and ultimately we're going to show up daily. We're going to stick to our strategies and just do what we got to do, right, guys? So remember, guys, trading is risky. Remember, guys, you guys are on the journey with me. Y'all are gonna see the wins. Y'all are gonna see the losses. Y'all are gonna see the big wins. The big losses. $125. I don't really count that as a big loss. I count that $400 as a big loss, right? The $125. That's really nothing compared to what you're gonna make, right? And I know you're saying, Devin, you only made $65 yesterday, but I went over that. Please go and watch that live if you didn't, because I know where I messed up at. I know where I did good at, and that's where every day I'm coming into the market and I'm getting better and better and better, right? Because y'all are on the journey with me, and that's why doing this is hard, right? Because it adds another level of pressure, right? Another level of pressure, but at the same time, it's like I don't feel like I'm folding under pressure, really. You know what I'm saying? But it does add another level of pressure where I feel like I do need to take a trade, and I do want to win, because ultimately I don't want to come to you guys saying I lost the trade, right? Because I know you guys see other traders making money and making thousands and thousands of dollars, right? But ultimately you got to start off, right? It's all practice, right? You're not going to start off being a profitable trader, right? If you're going to have losses, you're going to have bumps in the roads, but ultimately when you go over those losses and you go over the bumps in the roads and you look deeper, you will see how you can get better, and ultimately you will end up making a lot of money, right? And so look at it, the way I look at it, you go to college and you got to pay a tuition fee, right? This is basically your tuition fee. You're going to have losses, you're going to lose some money, but ultimately that is just the tuition fee for future wins, right? And y'all are on this journey with me. Y'all are going to see the big wins. Don't worry, they're all coming. And just stay with me, guys, okay? I love every single one of y'all that are on me with the journey. Remember, stick to your strategy, your disciplines. Losses are going to come, right? And so that's where I'm kind of proud of this loss, right? I'm still frustrated because I lost, but I'm kind of proud of it because I stuck to my strategy, stuck to my discipline, gave my change of character, and all that I went over it already. I'm not going to keep saying it, right? And so just can't be mad at it, okay, guys? And so remember, guys, trading is risky. Follow your disciplines, your rules, your strategy. Remember, have risk management. And remember, guys, to study, so you can ultimately know what you're looking at. And please, if you haven't watched my last video, please go watch my last video, because there's a lot of valuable information to it. And don't worry, guys, big winners are coming. Just today was not the day. As you can see, it's ranging, it's doing whatever. Price is doing whatever, right? And so, as you can see, some people made money today, right? Some people made money today. People lost money today, but ultimately, you see, this is just a range day, okay? So remember, guys, I love y'all. I love every single one of y'all that are with me. Follow your strategy, follow your disciplines, follow your rules, have risk management. Trading is risky. I love you guys. And remember, guys, stay persistent, passionate, and make sure to get paid. Peace.